96 lab titled Revenue versus Cash Flow Timing Analysis. For this lab, you can use different GenAI tools such as Copilot or Gemini. Those are free versions, but if you want to use ChatGPT, you would need the paid version, which is what I am using. So the first thing we're going to do is start a new chat. You could either type it like I am, or you could just use this little button here on the left and just type start a new chat. So the first thing we're going to do is upload our file, which is titled GenAI 89966 lab data. I have it here in my desktop, but wherever you have it saved, upload that. This file will contain everything you need, such as transaction date, customer name, when the revenue is recorded, when the cash is actually collected, and the amounts that it will be collected for. So the first thing we're going to do is to add a new column called days to T. If you want to type it, that is also totally okay. So we just tell it to do that. And now ChatGPT will aid us and add a new column called days to collect into our Excel file. It might take a little while. Sometimes when ChatGPT is analyzing things, it takes a little longer, but here you can see the file, transaction ID, date of sale, customer name, amount of sale, date of cash received, cash amount received, and then the days to collect. So after that, ChatGPT to use all of the data and report which had the longest and which had the shortest average days to collect. Again, ChatGPT might take a little while because it's working on it. But here it gives us a summary of which transactions did what. If you would like, you could just tell it to give you average days to collect between everyone, between each customer if necessary. So we could do that as well. It's not really necessary for this lab, but if you wanted a more thorough summary, you could also ask for that. Next, we will look into our fifth prompt, which is when we're summarizing total revenue and cash collected by month. This data file includes multiple months of the year, so we want to summarize it by month. So we will ask ChatGPT to do that. If you prefer, you could just type it out, but I prefer just copy and paste, especially if you have the instructions right next to you. So we will let ChatGPT do its thing. And here it creates a monthly revenue versus cash summary where we have the total revenue and the cash collected by month. And this also calculates the cumulative difference between by month in between cash collected and revenue. This is showing us how their timing differences add up over time. So here we can see that in January we have, for example, $8,650 in revenue, but we actually only collected $2,950. So we have a lot more revenue than cash collected. We will probably collect these in the subsequent months, but this is just showing how big the gap is between what we're recording as revenue versus how much liquidity we actually have. So it gives us a bit of insights if that's important to you. I know that this lab at the end has open-ended questions and multiple choice questions, so maybe some of these insights that ChatGPT is giving you could be helpful for those, or just if you want to better understand why this lab is evaluating things and how it works. So lastly, we want to ask ChatGPT to create a line chart to compare monthly revenue and cash collected. Sometimes seeing things in a visual way is easier to understand than maybe just trying to read all these different lines. So I'm going to copy and paste that here. So this might take a little while, but hopefully this is easier for you to visualize. So here ChatGPT creates us a line chart in order to see we have the amount of money here and the month here, and we have two different lines, one for total revenue and one for total cash collected. So as we see, for example, in March, we have $8,000 of revenue, but we actually collected over $12,000 in cash. This is because, again, the cash is not always collected at the time of sale, usually because companies will have a lot of purchases on accounts, and things take different times to collect, especially if you have a larger sum of money. So after this, we want ChatGPT to output the line chart as a PNG, and then we wanted to label it GenAI 8996 lab revenue versus cash flow chart. This is because we are subsequently after this going to put it into a Word document. So now ChatGPT gives us the PNG file, and then we also want ChatGPT to output the prompts that we gave it to also put in a Word. So ChatGPT will output the prompts. If you don't want it in a Word document and you would just rather ChatGPT tell you that, just tell him, write me the prompts I gave you in this chat. And it will regurgitate all the different prompts that you gave it. So this concludes this lab. Please make sure to submit your Word document with the line chart and the prompts, and to answer the multiple choice and open-ended questions. Thank you.